Hey guys, my name is Sam, aka Just Casual. Welcome to the first episode of Just Ask, where you can just ask me some questions and I'll do my best to answer them. And they can be from any walk of life, probably mostly about esports because that's what I'm in, but you can ask me whatever you want. Sorry about that. So let's just jump right into things. I have 3 questions right now. The first one is from Loco Doco. New/smaller teams have been having a hard time with content. The production quality is often top notch, but the videos themselves aren't popping off in views. What can they do to be a bigger player in the content space? So this is a huge loaded question, and I can only give my opinion on this. I think in esports and specifically in LCS, this is something that people haven't figured out, and it's really, really tricky. I think the biggest problem is that if you're not a winning team or if you're not a team with drama, no one really cares what's going on. So that's the biggest problem that everyone is trying to figure out. How can you be a team that is still popular with content without leverage or without requiring your LCS team or your brand or whatever to be winning, right? So my opinion on this, and it might start off fluffy, is first of all, you have to figure out how to be relevant, right? You are coming into a space where a lot of people are doing the same content. And you have some brands like TSM, Cloud9, CLG who've been around for a while, and they already have that notoriety and foothold in the space. But then you see a brand like CLG who hasn't found a lot of competitive success in a while, and you actually see their LCS content not doing so well as TSM, who is still having better views on their content, right? So it's still really, really tricky. Then you have an example like 100 Thieves, where they came into the space. They have someone like Nadeshot who knows how to do YouTube, and then he brings that energy, that personality, and brings something really fresh into an esports scene where you have someone with a ton of swag, someone that comes from more of a the COD scene where there's a lot more personality and a lot more excitement, a lot of just that Nadeshot feel. And then 100 Thieves actually found success their first season. I wonder what would have happened with their content and their following if they didn't have such a successful jumpstart into their first season in LCS once it franchised. But that's something that we can only speculate on. There might be some examples out there. So ultimately, with all this, I think it's really trying to find what value can you bring to the audience. You have to understand like what is out there, what speaks to the audience, and then how you as a team, a brand, or whatever is uniquely qualified to either reach the audience in ways that they aren't being reached or reach audiences better than they already are being reached. Obviously, I think if you have the super original idea where people don't realize they need it in their life, that's that $1 billion, or maybe not $1 billion idea, but that's like that huge idea that everyone's looking for. Those are hard to come by, especially in a place where some might think it's saturated, but I think there's still a lot of room for ideas that have not been touched. The second thing I mentioned is doing things better than other people. That's always hard. Finding people that you're competing with in something that's already existing is very, very difficult. Although I think if you find an idea that people are doing outside of the esports space, I think that is really, really valuable and relevant as long as you fit it towards esports. Let's say one example is looking at these really quick Instagram 60-second like how to cook a recipe meal that's like really clean, really polished, and gets like the point across where it actually makes cooking a recipe or baking something look really simple and really appealing to do on your own. I think that's an idea that you could bring into esports when it comes to like learning how to play a champion or explaining how something is done in esports or how a specific LCS play happened, right? So I think one of the easiest ways and the low-hanging fruit is taking ideas that are successful in other industries that people may or may not have seen in esports and then bring that to esports in a way that makes sense for esports. Now you can see a lot of this done, and it doesn't translate well because people don't know exactly how to translate that to an esports content. I think you can see a lot of like talking head or shoulder content where it just doesn't hit. But then there's also the question of, is it actually good content? and it's not getting enough views, or it's not getting in front of people to realize it's good, or maybe it's this needs more time for people to realize it's good. You know, if you look at any YouTuber or any influencer or any content creator, you don't see what that seems to come out of nowhere. You don't actually see the years of grinding beforehand. You know, Ninja as a streamer was doing stuff for a long, long time before he suddenly just seemed to come out of nowhere, right? So I think there's a thing where there's needs to be patience. With LCS teams, I think we have an easier time accelerating our content if it's really, really good content, because we already have a platform that people know about us for. So it's still like a really, really tricky question. And one other thing I want to touch on is about production quality, as like smaller teams have been making higher production quality content. I think honestly in the scene, production quality is overrated. Not saying that it's not important. And if you have the resources, I think what you do is first you focus on what is the best content we can make, right? What's the best idea? You see people like Dong Hwap, who was on YouTube a while ago. I don't know if he's still doing stuff, but like his videos don't look nice. The camera is not nice. It's like a laptop camera. The white balance is off. The sound is not the greatest, but the content itself is amazing. What separates people when it comes to production quality is that when you're comparing everyone else that is making the same thing, whoever has the highest production quality usually wins that, assuming that all the content is equal. So again, it's that balance of like finding that original good content that your audience, which is LCS fans or esports fans or League of Legends players or gamers, you have to like figure out what that audience is, how to target that audience. But you have to make the content for them, and then from there you find like how can we make it as best as possible, right? That is my opinion on things. I think there's also another way where it's like you just need to crank out numbers, because like if you make 100 videos, you never know which one of those videos is going to pop off. I think you kind of see that with FlyQuest, where they're putting out tons of content on their YouTube channel, and then you're just waiting for one to actually do really, really well, because you never know what idea you have in your head that you decide not to use, and then that could have been like your million view video, and you would never have known that. That's one way of thinking. I don't think it fits every single formula, and that's also, I think, something that you do as like if you're an esports org that isn't like has a ton of money behind it, a lot of branding, where like you have to make sure you hit every single thing you post. That's something there. Now, I know I focused a lot of this conversation on YouTube, but I think this can be ported over to like social media, because when the question was asked with content, I just kind of assumed it was YouTube stuff. But I mean, I think, for example, C9, their social media manager, Portillo, when he puts out memes, like I recently talked to someone in the office where they're like, oh yeah, everything he posts is a banger. It's like, well, actually, I don't know what the ratio is, but like, let's say 80% of the things he posts, like no one sees, or not, it doesn't catch on, but that 20%, it hits, and then people remember that 20%. So I think there is a value in just like throwing a lot of things out there, and then making sure that as long as you have a few bangers, like they hit and they resonate with the audience. So there's a lot of different ideas on how to make this work. I think all the teams are trying to figure that out. I'm proud of our Golden Guardians content team, which or at least our YouTube team. Like we're trying to make some like really crazy new stuff that people might not have seen as much. And now my dog is whining. Tibbers. And I think we're really proud of it, and we'll see how it goes. And we made some bold claims, and we'll see if they actually are true. All right, thanks for that question, Loco. If you have any other comments or follow-up questions, hit me in the YouTube comments or hit me up on Twitter when I ask for questions to field for this. Now to the next question.